Good morning and welcome to Economics with Uplift Education and Miss Williams. My name is Miss Williams and today we will be talking about the basic economic questions that we must all answer as businesses and consumers, as well as the circular flow model that explains how products and services are released to the market and how we make money off of them. So today we're going to take a look at the PowerPoint presentation that is on your OneNote slide. So if you go ahead and access that presentation for me, we're looking again at basic economic questions, what every economy, business, and consumer must answer. So the first question is, how do businesses make money? Right? So businesses can make money by selling goods and services. So we talk about goods and services, but what is a good versus what is a service? Goods. Goods are physical objects such as computers, sneakers, cars. Just like we talked about in the last lesson, it's something tangible, something that you can touch, something that you can hold, something that you can feel. As opposed to a service. When we talk about services, we are talking about actions that a person performs for another person. So when we talked about physical items, we talk about the sneakers, the computers, things that you can physically touch. A service would be something like me, a teacher. Someone that teaches you something. I don't give you something that you can feel. I don't say, hey, here's your instruction on economics. This is what goods and services mean today. I'm going to give you all the knowledge that you need to graduate, and I'm going to put it in your hand. No, that is not what how that service works. However, I am giving you something that you'll be able to hang on to mentally for the rest of your life. That is a service. Another example would be cleaning. Don't underestimate the cleaning service because Miss Williams loves cleaning service. You will too when you get older. So, cleaning service, when a person comes in and they assist you with cleaning your household, you don't receive something immediately. There's no immediate physical gratification. Hey, here is a physical bucket of time that you get to keep because we cleaned your house. No, but you get the benefit of having a clean house, and number one, you can either rest and utilize that time to rest, or you can utilize that time to get other tasks taken care of. However, that service was done for you. It was something that you paid for, and you received a benefit from it. It just wasn't a physical or a tangible or a benefit that you could touch or that you could hold. Another service that's often underestimated is the service of automobile repair or automobile service. Oftentimes we don't think, hey, I got a brand new transmission. Yes, we paid for it. Yes, we paid for the service on the vehicle, but we're not necessarily happy that we had to pay for it. However, the benefit that we get from the service that has been provided is that we're able to commute to and from wherever we go freely. Bad joke. I'm going to get better at this. So let's keep moving forward. Let's talk about the economic questions. All economies, businesses, and people must answer the following questions. Seems a little familiar from English, right? The what, the who, what, how, and how much? Not quite. I think it was who, what, when, where, why, and how. But that's nor here nor there. The first question we're looking at is what goods and services will be produced? We have to determine what the product will be to assure that whatever it is that we're selling or that we're trying to generate revenue on is something that people are interested in enough to purchase it or in order to generate demand. How will the goods and services be produced? When we talk about how the goods and services will be produced, we're talking about how much it kind of partners in with, should we make more of this or more of that? Should we make more of this now because this is in demand, or should we make more of this now because this is in demand? How will the goods and services be produced? Are we going to produce them more now? Are we going to produce more of this later? What are the trade-offs? Are there any opportunity costs associated? How will the goods and services be produced exactly is what we're looking at. Then we're looking at who are the goods and services for. You have to find your target audience or your market. It doesn't make sense for me to sell diapers to someone who doesn't have children because they have absolutely no use for diapers. However, it will be imperative for me to sell diapers to someone who does have small children that have not been potty trained yet. It's very important for us to determine who the goods and the services are for. Same with services. I probably wouldn't recommend a assisted living service to someone who is able-bodied and able to take care of themselves. They will have absolutely no need for the service. So you just have to understand who the services or goods are for. And your last question is, how much will be produced now and how much will be produced later? So when we talk about how much produced now, how much produced later, it really focuses in on that production possibilities, where you are trying to determine what's going to have the best economic impact as far as your production. Right now, is the demand high enough for us to produce a mass amount of this, or is it low enough for us to not necessarily produce this much of this particular product? Or is it the summertime and no one's worried about chapped lips, so let's not overproduce chapstick? Or it is the wintertime and everyone has chapped lips, so we need to pump out this chapstick. When we talk about how much will be produced now versus later, the same thing would be about toilet paper right now. They're probably in panic mode and they're probably overproducing toilet paper right now because toilet paper is in high demand. It's something that you want to produce, so it addresses the what to be produced, how to be produced. Of course, they're going to decide to produce based on the demand of the customers and the market. Currently, everyone needs toilet paper and there's none readily available. Who the goods are produced and services produced for, what better market than everyone? Toilet paper applies to everyone that has to go to the restroom because it is a bodily function. And how much to be produced now versus later. It tackles every obstacle when we talk about this toilet paper issue, because whereas before, maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, they may have produced half the amount of toilet paper that they're producing now. However, since people are panic purchasing and they are purchasing large quantities of toilet paper, large quantities of wipes, large quantities of all of these hygiene products, they're more than likely overproducing so that they can meet the demands and the expectations of the market. Which brings us on to resources, because we talk about things that are necessary, like we said, that the toilet paper was a necessity because it is essential to your hygienic functions as far as being quarantined and trapped in your home for a temporary period of time. We don't realize how much we go to the restroom and other places until we're at home and we're literally counting the squares of toilet paper until we hit ground zero. So resources. What are resources? Resources are the materials from which goods and services are made, and there are 3 types of resources. The first type of resource is a human resource. Human resources are a person's knowledge, skills, attitudes, and abilities to determine that individual's value as a human resource. The more rare the skill or knowledge, the more valuable and higher the pay. For an example, an unskilled worker would receive low pay. Typically, an unskilled worker could be someone who's just entering the workforce, or they don't have a lot of knowledge behind whatever the job or the task is that they have to complete. Because they come in unskilled, or they usually come in entry level, they usually receive lower pay. However, if you look at someone like a teacher who has a high level of education and they have a higher level of pay than an unskilled worker, because that teacher went to school in order to educate themselves to be able to re-educate or to give that education to other students. Then you look at doctors. Doctors have a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot of education. They have very rare skills, so they're paid well. I can understand doctors getting paid well. I would definitely not want an unskilled worker performing my surgery. It doesn't seem like it's going to pan out very well. So doctors have very rare skills. They can do things that other people cannot do, like perform surgeries. They know certain things about blood. They know things about pathogens. They know things about protecting your health and how to treat you in the event that you get sick. So they're paid very well. They're paid well. Let's just say, compared to a teacher, they're paid very well. But on our spectrum of who gets paid the most versus who's getting paid the least, they're just getting paid well for the most part. Then we look at things like a NFL quarterback or celebrities. They have very rare physical ability, so they're paid very, very well. These athletes train their bodies 24/7, 365. They have skill sets. I cannot throw a football field across the field like Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady throws the football across the field. I could be wrong. Or I can't kick the football like the punter across the field. I don't have that kind of talent. That is a rare skill. That is a rare talent. I'm not as fast as Usain Bolt. I am not a tumbler like Angel Rice, or I am not a singer like Beyonce, though I wish that I could. These people have very rare physical abilities, and because they have these very rare physical abilities that we all value, they're paid very well for it. The next concept we're going to look at is natural resources. Natural resources are raw materials from which goods and services are actually made. So, for example, we would be looking at land, timber, oil, trees. Timber is a form of tree, which is found a lot in Texas. So when we're looking at land, timber, and oil, just like we were talking about that toilet paper, you use those trees in order to generate the paper, in order to make the toilet paper. When we talk about gas, we're using oil in order to produce gas, which we also know from the last set of instruction is a necessity, and it is inelastic. And also the land, because land is limited as far as the space that we can occupy. And we're also going to look at the last one, which will be a capital resource. And capital resources are the money and property used to produce the goods and services. They don't come out of anywhere, out of just the thin air. They don't come out of nowhere. You have to have money to put into the business. If I'm providing a good, like we talked about My Pizzeria before, if I'm producing pizza, I have to have money for the cheese. I have to have money for the sauce. I have to have money for the toppings. I have to have money for the dough, for the boxes, for the building, for the gas or the electricity it takes to run that business, for the credit card machines in order to take payments. I have to have a cash till in order to give customers change. That means I have to start with a bucket of money. There's money and there's property that has to be involved. In order for your business to thrive, there has to be money and property, and the money and property that are used to produce your goods and services are considered to be your capital resources. When we talk about capital resources, maybe not so much in the aspects that I just gave you, but some other examples of capital resource would be the tools that you need in order to fix things if you were providing a service, buildings in order to house your business, which I kind of touched on, and the machinery. How could I forget the machinery? You have to have machinery if you're producing textiles or if you're producing some kind of good in order to mass produce, in order for you to make a profit. We're going to go back to the example that I gave you last session about My Pizzeria. And we're going to talk about imagining what it would look like if we started a pizza business. What are the human resources, natural resources, and capital resources that we would need? For example, for human resources, we would need a manager, because someone has to manage the store and the employees and make sure that everything is running efficiently. We would need a pizza maker or a cook, because no pizzas can be made if no one's making them. We would need a cashier, because someone would have to take payments, and it would be very difficult to try to make pizzas and take payments and give accurate change all at the same time. You would need a dishwasher to assure that you have clean materials to continue to cook. And you would need a delivery person if you offered a delivery service, because then it creates a convenience factor and it's more likely that you'll sell more of your product. So the next question is, who will get paid the most and why? Who do you think would be paid the most and why? Who is the most essential person as far as the human resource and why? I think that it would be the pizza maker. Why would it be the pizza maker? Probably because the pizza maker is the person that the store depends on in order to produce the actual product. You can't deliver the pizza if there's no pizza. You can't wash the dishes if there is no person to make pizza to make the dishes dirty. You cannot take money for the pizza unless the pizza is made. And you cannot manage the cook if there is no cook to manage. However, if you look at it on the other side of the spectrum, the person who would actually get paid the most in reality would be the manager. The manager would be because they have, remember, we're talking not necessarily about who is the most vital in this situation. We are talking about who has the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes, and the ability to determine the value as far as human resource. The manager oversees everything. The manager makes sure that the store runs efficiently. Remember, when we talk about production, we want to make sure that everything is running efficiently. And in order for it to run efficiently, it has to be producing the highest amount possible at any given time, and a manager guarantees that for the business. So why I personally feel like the pizza maker or the cook is the most important person, because they make that delicious pizza and they assure that that pizza makes it to my house. It is actually the manager that is the most valuable individual that is in the building. They have the highest skill set to keep the business running. You would also need your natural resources. We kind of talked about that before. You would be needing your cheese, vegetables, flour, other toppings, tomato sauce, gas for your pizza oven, water, electricity, paper plates, napkins, to-go items, all of these natural resources that you would need that are made out of resources that usually cannot be reproduced. And then you have your capital resources. Your capital resources consist of your building or your storefront for the restaurant, your oven, your cash register, your counter, your refrigerator or your freezer, your reusable plates, reusable napkins such as cloth, and your car for deliveries. These are things that you can use over and over and over again and can be reproduced. So now let's put it all together. So what does it look like when products and services filter through the market? And what does it look like as far as money moving through the market? So I want you to look to the far right-hand side of your diagram, and we're going to start where we see the arrow pointing from businesses and businesses or firms, because a firm is another name or another term for a business, going to the factor market. And if you look at the diagram, it says that firms are buyers in the factor market. So they're going to generate money or income or payments. They're going to include rents, interest, wages, salaries, and profits. These are the things that they're able to produce into the factor market. These are things that they're able to give to the factor market, because the factor market is where the households and the sellers kind of intermingle together. It's where it's kind of like that happy medium point that shifts all of those products and services out to the households. At the point where they get to the households are in the and buyers are in the product market at this point, because now they can purchase these products from the factor market and then continue to produce or to generate money by buying those products and stimulating the economy. So then we see that all of the products that they were able to purchase go into the product market, where goods and services are being purchased, where money and payments are being made, sales are being generated, so that that same money and those same payments are going back into the firms or businesses so that they can produce again to put it into the factor market, and it creates this cycle of generation and production for money. Now, if you look at it from the opposite standpoint, you could also see where if we start at the product market, which is in the center of the diagram, and we move to your left, or if we move counterclockwise, you'll see that goods and services then factor into the households. After the households receive them, they are able to filter into the factor market, where we see productive resources such as land, capital, labor, and entrepreneurship, because we're seeing households get involved in the production process, and we're seeing households get involved with different activities involving the factor market. And then from there, we see it shift into the business firms portion, where we don't see much activity from the households from there, because remember, the business and the firms are producing the goods and the services unless you are a producer of goods and services. And we see that it continues in its cycle as well, so that we're seeing how the money is cycling in through the circular flow model, how it's generating impact from the household and generating impact from the market. It's very important to understand the household's position as far as the market is concerned, because in the household, we are producing and we are consuming. We are producing the capital needed to keep the economy alive, but we're also consuming because we're the ones that are the buyers that's in this in this model as well. We're buying the products that are made from these natural resources, capital resources, and human resources. So the household is almost like a centrifugal point in the economy because they are stimulating the economy. They are generating the ability for the business firms in order to produce these products, in order to push them in through a factor market that is completing the cycle for production in the production process. And it is giving you the ability to sell those products and services because the household would be the buyer, but at the same time, they are the stimulators at the same time. So hopefully I was able to break down or put together what it is to produce a good, what it is to have a service, answering those basic economic questions that everyone must ask: the what goods and services will be produced, how they'll be produced, who are they for, and how much to produce now and later, and how the circular flow model, or how the household positively impacts or could negatively impact the circular flow model for production. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I had a great time meeting up with you guys. See you next time. Have a great day.